Hello, Catherine, and
Hi. Yes, I'm still here.
And our first question for you is quite a simple one, but you are a worldwide known writer. And what do you think is the reason why you are so famous and your book so loved?
What a very kind question. I think world famous might be stretching it a little bit. I think that one of the reasons why the readers who identify closely with my books do so is because my aim as a writer is to explore intimate relationships which affect all of us. I don't believe, for example, that there is any such thing as an ordinary life. I believe that all lives are extraordinary and that everybody has a particular and a different story to tell. So for me to go underneath the surface of what appears to be ordinary and everyday and normal, it seems to resonate with people because they are able to recognize something of their own lives and their own relationships in what I write about. And I think that I try and do it. I write about feelings but without sentimentality, and that to me is important.
Most of the readers of your books are women, and in general, women are the majority of the readers. How do you explain this fact?
It's an interesting one, and as you say, it's not just in Italy or Ireland. This is a phenomenon which has been documented everywhere, that women tend to turn to fiction for their reading pleasure, and men turn to non-fiction. It's certainly not a clean divide in the sense that there are quite a lot of male readers, but it would appear that 60% of all of the people who buy novels are women. But I have a sneaking suspicion that there are a lot of men who read the novels that their wives or girlfriends or sisters buy. But it seems to be to be involved in a more serious pursuit in many ways, the pursuit of non-fiction. Whereas actually I believe that fiction can often tell us a great deal more about what it is to be human than something factual or reportage can. Because I do believe that fiction goes underneath the surface. I think also that women perhaps are maybe more ready to identify and talk about the stories that they read that highlight some aspect of their own lives. They're happy to talk about that with other women. For example, book clubs here are very, very popular, and to me that's a sign of that phenomenon, that women seem to be freer to talk about their feelings. And fiction perhaps is something that enables women to talk about their feelings. And talking about their feelings is something that perhaps men are not as practiced at as we are.
And you talk about feelings in your books, and the story you tell us are ordinary story, but and believable stories, and at the same time very interesting novel. How do you do?
Well, for me, the novel is all about character. The plot for me is simply the engine that drives the narrative along and allows the reader to come closer to the character and to get to know them. But plot obviously is important because you have to keep the reader's attention and you have to keep them turning the pages in order to find out what happens next. And I've never forgotten the pleasure that I used to have as a child reading books simply to find out what happens next. It was a kind of a hunger to find out where the story was bringing me. And I think that all of us, children and adults alike, I think we enjoy being told stories because they will illuminate something about our own lives, but they will also entertain us. So for me, the purpose of the novel is manyfold, but one is to entertain in order to keep my readers' attention and to keep them faithful to the story, so that they will be able then to discover the archaeology of the characters that I dig into. So I think unless I have a plot that's interesting and compelling, it's not as easy to keep the reader's attention so that they will stay to the end and maybe discover some surprises which will illuminate something about their own lives to them.
I know you are going to teach in a summer writing course to Italian people in Dublin.
Yes.
The title is Found in Translation. And in this course, you and Leah Mills will teach creative writing to not mother tongue persons. What is the aim of this experiment?
Well, we thought it was a very interesting idea. We've had a lot of queries from people whose English is excellent, and you know that a lot more Italian people will speak English than English-speaking people speak Italian, because English is such a worldwide dominant language. But we had a lot of requests to run a course like this, and we thought it would combine a couple of things. It would combine giving people the opportunity to come to a UNESCO City of Literature. It would combine our idea that to find your creative voice is almost like learning another language. So we were playing with that idea there. And also the fact that to teach creative writing is actually helping somebody, no matter what the language difficulty is, but helping somebody to unlock what their own creative voice is. And that sometimes by doing that in another language, it actually gives students another freedom. Because they're not looking for the perfect sentence, the perfect word, the perfect phrase. They have to do something in a language which is not their mother tongue. And in a way, this gives a certain freedom from formality, freedom from grammar, freedom from perfection that maybe they might not feel in their mother tongue. So we thought that a course such as this would combine all of those different ideas and be a really interesting experiment, and I'm really excited about doing it.
Catherine Dunne, I have a silly question. I apologize myself for this question, but I am very curious to know if in your classroom, when you teach, there is, I suppose, some tea or some cookies, some music, or maybe some beer, because of the fact that you will teach in Ireland. I don't know, some comfortable things for help students to produce creative works.
I think what we will do is we have a very good mix. We have taught courses like this before, and we find the mix is very effective. And the mix is a morning of very intensive tuition. With 2 tutors. So every student gets the 2 tutors for the morning.
Wow.
But in order to add a little bit of comfort into that, we will stop and break for tea and coffee at some stage during the morning so that we can have an informal chat. Then in the afternoon, the 2 tutors will individually take students to look at their progress and to help them to continue what they're writing within the framework of the group. And if there is any beer or wine, I think we might leave that until the evening, until the work is over. What do you think?
Yes, it's better.
I think so. On balance, I think it's probably better.
Okay, and I have another question. I have a very, how can I say, beautiful memory of Dublin. I remember the library of the Trinity College because I was there when I was a student. So I asked to Catherine Dunne, to you, if is there any place in Dublin where you love to go with your books, to stay with your books? I don't know, some bars or libraries or bookstores, I don't know.
Okay. Well, I mean, Dublin, thank goodness, has a lot of independent bookstores still, and it's always a great pleasure for me to go there. Okay. But there is a wonderful library in Pearse Street in the centre of Dublin. It's an old Carnegie library, and it's also a place where there's a lot of research material available, and that is probably one of my favourite places. Apart from that, I love to go and take a book and just go sit in a local cafe, read my book, but at the same time keep an eye on all the people around me and eavesdrop on their interesting conversations.
Do you have a favourite writer as well?
Oh, my favourite writer, I think, seems to change with every book that I read. And I think that's what's so wonderful about writing and reading. At the moment, I'm reading a book on loneliness, a non-fiction book on loneliness by an English writer called Olivia Laing, and it is absolutely fantastic. So for the moment, until I finish this book, she's my favourite.
Okay. And Catherine Dunne, are you going to read some Italian books, maybe before the classroom in summer?
Not in Italian.
Not in Italian, but maybe an Italian author translated.
I'm always interested in reading Italian authors, and I will take any recommendation that you would like to give me. I would be delighted to read them.
Valentina, can we give to Catherine Dunne a suggestion? It's very hard work.
I will try. Can I try?
Yes, you're welcome.
I'll suggest to you an Italian female writer. She is Francesca Melandri, and the title of the book is Eva Sleeps. And I
have already read it and I have reviewed it.
Oh, wow! Nice.
You will find a review of Francesca's book on my own personal website.
Fantastic.
Great. So, Valentina...
And of course, I have read Elena Ferrante's work from start to finish. I am a big fan.
Oh, nice.
We too.
So is that okay? Do I pass the test that I've read both of those? Is that okay?
Yes, that's okay.
You couldn't not pass the course. You're the best author we know. So
You're very kind. Thank you very much.
Catherine Dunne, thank you to have been here on our radio show. And how can I say, good luck for your work in summer with this
Thank you very much. Thank you. And it's been a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you for the call.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye for now. Bye-bye.